All right, guys, we're here. We're back. Pit Chatter Podcast here, recording live. You can't hear us live, but we are recording live here from El Rio, Mikasa, whatever this place is called now. The menus say one thing, the sign out front says the other. They still hadn't updated that this week, but I guess that'll be okay. We ain't got to worry about that. I'm Langley Austin, track promoter and host of the show here on the Pit Chatter Podcast. I'm joined again this week by the new co-host. I guess you're only going to be new for like twice. So got Noah Hinchee here back with me.
The one and only.
The one and only. I've heard about 13 nicknames out of you. The Entertainer. Your future father-in-law has another one for you. I can't say it on the air.
I bet he
does. But anyways, how was your week, man?
It was all right. Working, chilling, drinking, same stuff.
Yeah, I got you. No, nothing racing. Did you watch any races? Did you do anything?
I did watch the Bristol race.
Okay, that's a plus.
That's the first time in a while I've been able to be entertained throughout the entire NASCAR race.
Yeah, I heard it was a good one. I didn't get to watch it, but I heard the tire thing kind of
tires destroying, and obviously I'm sure the drivers hated that, but to watch, it was super fun to watch.
Yeah, seemed like it, for sure. Coming up on racing season getting started for us here really quickly. Got, 10 days, 11 days, something like that right now as we record. 10 days by the time you hear this or anybody hears this. Hopefully the weather forecast changes for next week. Looks like it's going to rain every day next week, so hopefully that changes because that's going to mess up all of our plans. We've got a couple car shows coming up. Logan's Roadhouse kickoff party there on Tuesday, the 26th, so next Tuesday. From Logan's, got a bunch, probably 10, 12, 13 cars planning on being there. A bunch of different drivers. We'll try to, rotate in and out on the podcast. So we'll have 2 podcasts next week if everything goes right for that. Going to Papa's Pizza in Bassett, Virginia on Thursday. Then we got open practice Friday and racing on Saturday. Racing's at 4 o'clock for the Teddy's Water Hauling Winter Thaw. It's kind of a mouthful,
Yeah,
Yeah, you ain't had to say it, so you don't know.
I haven't. I will on the first race.
I have to type it, so it's really harder to type than it is to say. So, anyways, got us another guest here this week. Got the reigning 2023 late model champion, Jonathan Hall. Jonathan, we appreciate you coming by, stopping by to see us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. I was hoping to get a singing intro out of you or something there. After we were recording earlier and you were playing around, but didn't quite get all that. But we're glad to have you here and talking to you, man. Talking to you before we got going, talking about how long you've been racing. 20 years. That's a long time for somebody who's. What'd you say you were? 33?
Yeah, I'm 33.
Yeah, that's a long time to be racing right there.
Yeah, I've put a lot of years into it and grew up around the racetrack and being there with my dad and my family, and I guess 2004, 2005-ish was when I finally climbed in a car, so didn't realize it's been that long until we sat here and talked about it.
Yeah, well, the family in which you come from, they've been racing for a long time at Franklin County Speedway specifically. I can go back through old programs, and I don't know that I can go back far enough that I can find some without them.
Yeah, it's really cool. I know people post old pictures all the time, and Kenny Lang is one that does a lot of them. And It's kind of cool to go back and see some and talk to my family, and they'd be in fights in there, talk about what they did or didn't do, and then there's always a picture that pops up and says otherwise.
Yeah, well, been in a few scuffles over the years, I'd say.
Yeah, well, it comes with it.
Yeah, it does. Tell us about how you got started. Obviously, being from that family, it's how you got started in racing, but tell us the steps in which you went through to get started racing.
Yeah, I guess it goes all the way back to my grandpa. My grandpa raced, and then, of course, my Uncle Ricky, and a lot of people don't know it, but my Uncle Kerry, he did race. He started 3 races, won all 3, and retired.
He's got a pretty good batting average.
Yeah. He picked up the headset and spotted it for my dad. My dad raced all the way from mini stock to late model. Of course, all my uncles, I think only 2 of them didn't race. One uncle and one cousin didn't race. All of them's always been involved. And my dad was running late model when I first started, and he bought me a Dodge Daytona, and I worked. And he made me gut it out myself, and I came home from school one day, and the Dodge Daytona was gone, and I was mad. And he told me he got me a Ford Escort, and I was not happy. It was the ugliest car ever, but I went on to win about 75 races with a Ford Escort back in a couple years that I ran it. He made me start. Actually taught me how to learn to drive a 5-speed at the racetrack. In his little Chevrolet S10, he parked me on the racetrack and said, "If you're ever going to drive a race car, you better learn how to drive a manual." And a few years later, we built the Escort, and he made me start in the back, which back then we had 21 cars was a low night then.
That was like the beginning of the U-Car class too, right? If I remember correctly, because they were running twins, and there was 20 to 30 cars every week.
Yeah, thank you for making me feel even older. Yeah, that was kind of when the U-Car was really, really starting.
Yeah.
We wasn't allowed for the first couple of years, wasn't allowed for any camber, so
right.
You always had people blowing tires, and there's tricks of the trade around that we found, but
yep.
It was
what?
He's looking for secrets over here in the stock Ford.
Well, see, you can't tell everything. But back then we had 20 cars was a low night, and the way they done it was if you won the race, you started dead last. It was no fifth, you started dead last. So it made it tough, and it made a lot of different winners, and it was a lot of pretty cars that turned out not so pretty because of it.
That sounds about like stock 4 right there.
Yeah. I think stock 4 is getting. I think what you did with it is you got it closer to what they was when they first started.
Yeah,
for sure. I mean, I know people started going down the Honda road, and then they try to do the Super, and it just for the money they started putting in them, you could run a mini stock.
Oh yeah, and some of them can keep up with mini stocks.
Oh
That's
yeah,
the
absolutely.
Crazy part.
Yeah, I've raced with some.
Oh yeah,
So for them, then it went from that to running mini stock.
What was your first year in mini stock?
Oof.
Had to make you think. If 33 ain't old enough to have to think that long.
I don't really remember my very first year because I ran here and there, just playing around. Then I drove for Timmy Hogan. I don't remember what year that was. And then
what was that experience like driving for Timmy?
It was kind of cool. I took a break from racing. I was young, going through school, and got caught up in the girlfriend drama. I took a break from racing, and my cousin Jim called me. He said, "Hey, I'm buying a race car. Would you drive it?" And I said, "Yeah, absolutely." Well, come to find out, it was this old dirt car. The guy said, "Oh, I'll paint it for free." So we let him paint it. Well, it turned out Barney purple. And it wasn't really fast. And Timmy was like, "Hey, would you like to drive my other car?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." Well, we drove it, and it was funny because I think 5 of us got in a wreck on the last lap, and my brother was driving the car, and I think he technically won the race, but they didn't give it to him.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, and then from there, I think I found myself back in a U-Car when I started doing it myself.
What kind of car were you in then?
Cavalier. And we was pretty.
Probably an old push rod.
We was pretty successful with that car. We won 20 of 22 races that year.
Wow.
I broke on 2 of the biggest races of the year, leading.
Dang.
But that was 2010. I won the track championship. And then me and my dad decided to, I traded it for a mini stock that was not good. And Dad seen it, and he said, "I won't go to the racetrack as long as we go with that." So that led into building a new car, and I guess that's kind of how we introduced the tube chassis car. Right. And won the track championship in 2011 in the mini stock. And then I think I took another break for a little bit, not long. Then I ended up in late model. Yeah, I think it was late model, and then
that was in like 2016, 2017, somewhere in that neighborhood, I believe.
Run at Callaway, and I think we went down to Orange County. Tried to go practice at Martinsville, and
that's a different experience, ain't it?
Well, I'm pretty good at pit road. We ended up having motor trouble, so I spent first time under the lights. I was the first one on the racetrack. I can't say that.
I mean, that's a cool thing to be able to say.
But I went down pit road about 1,000 times. But so that led me into getting back into mini stock racing several years ago, probably, I don't know, 3-4 years ago now. Which we had a lot of fun, but of course, we ran a motor mile in Franklin, made a championship battle in motor mile, come up short, and decided to go back late model racing.
Yeah, what made you decide to do that? seemed like a bad idea. You know what I mean? Late models is very expensive.
Well, I just felt like we were building raceable cars, and
right.
Some didn't agree with it, and it was a lot of crying and fussing and complaining.
What do you mean there's drama in the mini stock division?
Well, yeah, it tends to happen that way. I mean, it's a pretty fair class. I wish people would see that. And we decided to challenge ourselves and go run limited. And we ran our full season last year in limited at Motor Mile and ran at Franklin. I think we got tore up about every week at Motor Mile.
And people always say, "Well, don't go to Franklin County, you get tore up."
Yeah,
you get tore up a whole lot more there.
I only got tore up once, other than my cosmetic stuff at Franklin. So
yeah,
can't complain with that.
Yeah. Now, ended up winning the championship last year at Franklin County. Kind of a weird year for late models. Didn't run a whole lot of races. You missed a couple of them. And still came home with a championship, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I got lucky. My kids are in sports pretty heavily, so I'm trying to focus on that too. And didn't allow me to be there every race, but I was there when it mattered, I guess. And fortunately for us, Jesse couldn't be there at the end of the season. Which, if he would have showed up, he had it. Which sucks for him.
He still had to finish like top 3, which you just never know.
Yeah, it was a rather interesting end of this year for sure. I mean,
if every race was like that, I mean, the fans were entertained, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was interesting. I mean, I think we came home P2, I think, and ended up winning the championship and got to do some donuts for the fans, which was kind of cool. Brought me back to my first actual win ever. My dad told me to back it against the wall because it was front wheel drive and just dump the clutch and go. And I had it in third gear, so it didn't spin very well. But I think we got it right that time.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Did it put any pressure on you? Knowing the family history. Now you've won championships, and you've won plenty of races, but. Did it put any pressure on you when you first got started, knowing, that lineage there, and knowing the history? Yes, they got into a lot of scuffles, but they won a lot of races, too.
Yeah, we've been very fortunate, and it hasn't always been about money. I can proudly sit here and say my family is very talented with wrenches and welders and just figuring stuff out themselves. And if people go back and they actually know the family, we put the time in it at the racetrack and practice it. And
oh yeah.
So when I first started, trying to juggle between playing football at the time and my dad would make sure I was at the racetrack every week, practicing every single week. And he instilled from the beginning how much you had to put into it to do it. And I mean, it did put some pressure on me because they've all been successful. They've all won races. And it felt like forever that you ever was going to get a win, but it's like once you get that first one, they keep clicking.
Right. Yeah, I just I felt like coming from a family like that, it would have made it more difficult on you in the beginning, just from what they've done. But the thing you mentioned there about them being able to work on their own cars and build their own stuff and do things with cars that money can't really buy. I mean, it can buy it, I guess. It can buy somebody to do that, but y'all didn't have to spend that. I mean, Ricky, he's really good he may be the best fabricator there is. And your dad, I mean, I don't think there's anything he doesn't know about a race car.
Yeah, they're very smart. I mean, when it comes to cars and stuff, I mean, I've heard a lot of people tell us, "Oh, y'all got $20,000, $30,000 in that mini stock."
Yeah.
No, we made everything. Like all the way down to the gauge cluster. I mean, Ricky makes all that stuff.
Right.
So it takes a big cost out of it. You know, if you're one of these people that's got to go out here and just show up and race and don't touch nothing and pay everybody to do everything, it's going to cost a lot.
Right. You guys still got your late models, so planning on racing this year. What's the goal there?
Yeah, I don't really know where and how often, and I definitely will be at Franklin County. It's home away from home. It's hard to get away from my roots. Can't say how many times or how much or how often. I know I'll be running around bases. Like I said, my daughter's playing travel softball and stuff, so I got to be dad first.
Right. I understand that completely. Noah, what do you got over there, bud?
I was just thinking about how travel baseball and softball is probably more expensive than damn racing is.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, you know, it's a lot of people that, you know, told my dad years ago he was kind of foolish for having me in a race car and spending all that money, and why would he raise me to do something so expensive? And, you know, I always got a kick out of it because my dad would look at him and say, "Where's your 15 or 16-year-old kid tonight at a party?" Or, you know, "Do you know where they're at?" He said, "I know where my son's at."
Right.
And he said, you know, he knows if he misbehaves or gets in trouble, he doesn't race.
I mean, racing's like a drug once you get hooked. I mean, but it's better, I guess. You can spend a lot of money, but...
Is it?
Well, I don't know. You two could answer that, I guess.
There's some things you can get addicted to that will be probably a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll kill you, but...
Well, there's that.
I almost killed myself doing racing, too, so it don't matter. I mean, really.
Well, that's a little over dramatic there.
It hurt.
Now, your old lady, she about killed herself, but I don't know about you.
Yeah, the walls don't move very, very easily.
No,
I've tried.
they hurt.
No. Noah, he decided to try to move them last year, and that didn't really work out.
Yeah, there was a little dent in the wall. It was poking out, and I said, you know, we ain't doing nothing. There's only 3 cars in this race. Let me try to push that piece back in. It didn't work.
Yeah.
It sure as hell pushed Timmy's car in a little bit, though. Crinkled the floor pan up. And
Yeah, you destroyed a good car, man.
oh, it was a great car. Not anymore.
That's one thing, you know. Now, you did in practice, you know, several years back.
I think I almost took the scoreboard down.
You were working on it for sure. Something with the tire.
Yeah, right front tire blew going in the corner, and probably the hardest hit I've ever took at anything.
I mean, you went for a ride, that's for sure. And going into turn 3 is not a place you want to blow a tire at Franklin County.
Yeah, it's usually your fastest corner.
Yep. Yeah, you went for a ride there, but you know, that tore up a lot of stuff. Mini stocks, late models, especially the last few years. You know, and really, I mean, I know you tore up some stuff at Motor Mile, but you know, racing with us, you hadn't really tore up anything.
Yeah, I mean, other than Motor Mile, more of body parts and cosmetic, nothing major. I mean, you kind of got to race people how you want to be raced. I mean, I've done it. I've moved people. I've wrecked people. I've been the one being wrecked, and you just, you know, especially in the big car stuff, you just got to take what's given to you. I mean, some people are more aggressive than others, and, you know, I'm pretty aggressive. I don't, you know, but it's just one of them things. You just, over time, you realize that sometimes it's easier to give that little bit of room and, you know, cross them over. I'm famous for crossover, so sometimes it's fun, and I like. Most people don't like the outside, but I'm an outside digger.
Right. Going back through the beginnings of your racing, you know, U-cars, mini stock. Who's the guy who really just taught you on the racetrack? You know, I know your dad probably taught you a ton, but who's the guy on the racetrack that you learned the most from? I mean, you raced against some 04, 05, and really for the next 5 or 6 years there. I mean, you raced against some really interesting people in the U-car class.
Man, it's so many good ones. I mean, I think in the heyday of U-car, you had me and Jerry Ramey.
Yep.
Brian Ray.
Yep.
You had MG.
Was Eddie Young racing then?
Eddie Young come in as I was going out.
Gotcha.
Oh, Lord, it's so many of them. I mean, you're talking 20, 25 cars every week. It's a bunch. I mean, and even, you know, not just the good people teach you stuff. You know, some of the people that shouldn't have been out there, they teach you something. I mean, you know, when you're starting dead last and you're you're working your way through the field.
I mean, you're leading Noah over here. I mean, he's over here he's like, I'm going to shut up. I'm going to shut up.
And, anytime you touch the racetrack, I mean, if you're not learning something, you're not doing something that right. I mean, all the way down to paying attention how much brake you're using in a big car, or, it's just, you learn something every time. So to say who taught me the most as far as racing with them, I would say that probably really didn't start until late model. But I will say, if I had to pick somebody that I had to learn how to be aggressive and to be strategy, it was definitely Brian Ray.
Brian Ray.
Because Brian, at that time, he was pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
And I think we was telling a story at the shop one night, and Dad was telling me about a time that he outsmarted him on a green-white checker. He said he waved his hand like something was wrong with his car, and as soon as the guy let off, he took off.
Yeah.
And, back then the leader started the race and going into turn 3.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
And I wasn't that good that night. Brian was, then they run me down, and it was just a matter of time. And we ended up getting a caution. I think it was actually a Whitey Taylor caution. I can't remember. But I did the same thing. And I think I pulled Brian about 3 or 4 car lengths. And I got tickled about it, told Dad. I said, well, I'm glad you told me that story this week. But it was, to pass him. And back then, the cars, like I said, with no camber and stuff, we had to run them pretty much like we was running dirt.
Right.
So you would tail whip people, and it just didn't wreck you. It was just, we really beat the crap out of each other, to be honest.
Well, yeah, so it's kind of like stock force today, for sure.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Because that's what they do to each other. They don't wreck that much. By God, they beat the crap out of each other.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And it's kind of what makes it fun.
It does.
For sure. It's a little mix between any car and you car. What do you think there, Hinchee?
I'm still thinking about it.
He's over here trying not to say something.
Thinking about other things.
About people that shouldn't be out there. Anyways,
Yeah.
You said when you got to late models, that's when you really started to learn from somebody. Who's the guys that you have really picked up from?
Well, I can say I've had the pleasure of racing with some of the best in my eyes. You got, obviously Kyle Dudley. He's came from what people thought wasn't so good to proving himself.
He was definitely not good back in the day. Go ahead and say it.
He's really proven himself, and I've raced with him, and I think one of my greatest accomplishments that I can say happened this year, and not many people can say they done it as easy, but I actually had to chase after Jimmy Mullins.
Yeah.
Passed him cleanly and never touched him. And to me, that was a big accomplishment because I watched him and my dad. I absolutely raced the crap out of each other. And that was pretty cool. Pretty cool exclamation mark on my racing career.
And there may be nobody that can make a car wider than Jimmy Mullins.
One name come to my mind, and you talk to everybody and you listen to TV and stuff. He reminded me of Ryan Newman.
Yeah.
I had my tongue hung out of my mouth that day. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he's not going to give you anything easy. He's going to make you work for it every time. That is no doubt. Jimmy Mullins makes everybody pass him the hard way.
Oh yeah, and it makes it more rewarding for sure. And to have him come over after that race and say you just did something that a very few people can do.
Yeah.
He said because I was giving you everything I had and trying to keep you off of me, and I guess the 20 years of experience and a lot of talking from my dad helped that because the old Jonathan would have probably handled that a lot different.
It'd probably been a couple of cars tangled up.
Yeah. I probably would have been a little more aggressive way early.
Right. It's a whole lot easier to do it that way. Be aggressive and wreck.
Well, that depends on how it works out.
Well, it may not work out as good, but it's definitely easier to do for sure. Noah, what do you think? You've watched those late model guys. I know you watch all the races when you come and run stock 4 and bootlegger and all that late model racing. What do you take from those guys?
I just wish there was more cars that came down there because when there's a lot of them, dude. Yeah, I know people think, like some of my people think that it's kind of boring.
Yeah.
Which the way I explain it to them is it's not stock Ford. We're not out there in $500 junkyard cars.
Right.
Those are very expensive cars. They're not just going to go beat the hell out of each other out there.
Well, they might.
Well, every once in a while you get a show. But when there's a lot of them, they're so entertaining to watch. And
For sure.
like my favorite thing is when the car stores will come through. And
Oh, yeah.
it's crazy to watch them. I mean, you watching Kyle Dudley almost beat Dale Jr.'s car.
Right.
Like, that's just crazy.
Yeah. I mean, and Kyle's come, like we talked about, him. He was not good when he started. He was he's still aggressive, but he was super aggressive back then. He was a dumb aggressive back then. Maybe kind of like you're talking about yourself back in the day there, Jonathan. But, I mean, like he's
I think if I remember correctly, they used to call him King Kyle back then.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure they called him some other things. That was the nicest thing they called him.
But, it's funny because that's somebody that I grew up with around the racetrack.
Yeah.
And, hats off to them guys because they have really stepped their game up. And, just watching them at Sobo last year, I mean, it was amazing. He had a really good run going. And I think, Motor Mile, he was probably the man to beat in the car store race.
Yeah.
So it's really cool. I mean, we have people that has a really big history book behind them. And, you mentioned the big cars, the big fields and stuff. Really and truly, that's the sad part about people don't realize that it takes 10 cars in a late model classic motor at Franklin to have a phenomenal show.
Oh, 100%. Really, it might not necessarily take 10. If you get 7 really good cars, or as long as they're running the same speed, it could be an incredible show.
Now, you might have to correct me on the year, but the year that we ran with you down there, it was, some big fields, and it was probably some of the best racing that's been there since probably 99.
Yeah, 2017, you'd have you, Mike Looney, Kyle Dudley, Brian Sutphin,
Steele.
Boo Boo Dalton, who?
Steele,
Yeah,
Devin
Steele, yep. And he was winning. But Dennis Holdren would come in.
Ricky Gillespie.
Ricky, yep. I mean, you had some stellar fields there.
Yeah, that was some tight battles then. That was pretty good. I mean, really and truly, me thinking back, I mean, since probably 05, 06, probably some of the best racing that was had there.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, that was a good time. And it's hard. People. I often get fans who will go, "Well, they ain't got no cars down there. I don't know what they're doing." Well, I don't own a car. You know what I mean? So I can only try to get people there. Racers. It's weird. Different things makes different racers tick, and you got to hit on a combination of whatever it is. You know what I mean? And I think we're gonna have some. Good fields of late models this year. I don't know what weeks they'll be good and what weeks they won't be, you know what I mean? Because I know there'll be different weeks that they're not.
Yeah, I think as far as that goes, I think my biggest complaint about people like that, they need to get out of the stands and in the cars.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. I mean, you can't live in the past, and if you're living in the past of how stuff used to be ran or did run or, you got screwed out of $1 20 years ago, I mean...
Yeah, it don't matter today.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we're doing it for fun. I mean, we're not there to make money.
Well, you're never going to make any money. I mean, not at this level anyway. So, I mean,
certain racetracks, you go way in the hole.
Certain racetracks, what?
You go way in the hole.
Oh, way in the hole. Yeah. Yeah, that's one thing that I've always tried to do is I try to keep it to a point to where you ain't going to lose but so much.
Yeah.
I mean, stock 4 to late models, you ain't going to lose but so much. I mean, what's the price of, having a fun hobby, You got to decide what that level is and where you want to be with it, you know what I mean?
Can't really put a price on fun.
No, you're right. You're right.
I could have got into collecting train sets for a lot cheaper than this, but
I don't know about
Would
that.
you have had as much
it's
fun?
not as exhilarating.
I think trains would get pretty expensive.
I mean, I was kind of thinking that. I mean, I don't know the price of a train, but
it kind of looks like a caboose driver.
Why am I catching stuff? I don't even do nothing.
Listen, somebody's got to.
That's all
Somebody's got to catch a stray here. It might as well be you.
I'm here to be the jester. That's fine.
Speaking of being a jester, you've been telling me about this outfit that you're going to have for the first race. I'm pretty excited about that.
Oh, I got several ideas.
Oh, Lord.
And I'm waiting for you to give me the final promotional nights.
Yeah.
Because I know of at least 2 promotional nights I got different outfits for. And I don't want to spoil it.
This ought to be interesting.
I got one main one. It's going to be my regular. Might change it up.
Yeah.
I got one for 4th of July. It's going to be awesome.
You going to be Uncle Sam?
I'm not. Something even better.
Uncle Noah?
You know, that's pretty cool because what is it? Randy Parrott, is that his name, I think?
Yeah.
He changed his suits all the time, and a lot of people remember him just from changing his suits.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. I mean, and you got to have fun with it, man.
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
sure.
that's the one thing over the last, I tell you, and I'm going to tell you what one of the differences. People ask me all the time, they go, man, why you not have the car count and, the fan count that you had, 2017? You know what I mean? And I go, man, I don't know, but I can put my finger on certain things, sometimes you just get in a rut and you just keep doing the same thing. And I think this year, I think people can probably already tell we're, bringing this podcast out and we're, going and doing these, kickoff shows. Last one we did was 2017.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, I think, sometimes you just get caught up in doing the same thing and, well, if you do the same thing all the time, that's insane because it's only going to, decline. And, we're trying to build this thing up.
Yeah, I think the whole podcast thing's been pretty cool. I mean, there's a lot of people that likes to keep up with the drivers and stuff, and I think it's kind of cool. It's good for sponsorship too, for sure.
Oh yeah, anything, and that's a whole nother aspect that we got to keep pushing to make it more viable for you to get sponsors. You know what I mean? For your sponsors to feel like they're getting their money's worth. You know what I mean? When they come to the racetrack with you, if they come to the racetrack with you and you're racing 2 cars, well, that probably don't excite them a whole lot. You know what I mean? But if you come there and you're racing 5 or 6 or 10 cars and you got a good field and a good race and the fans are enjoying it, then they're probably going to enjoy themselves a whole lot.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. Because, I mean, the thing about sponsorship, like, you're doing advertisement and they want people to see it. They want people to hear it. So
100%.
This is a good platform for it, for sure.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And we're going to try some things this year. Me and Noah's talked about it. I'd like to do some Facebook Lives, where we, show the entire race some nights. And it may not be every night, maybe every night. I don't know. It just depends on how it works out. And I think, one of the keys, like, he's come on, he's going to help us with the announcing. And, we're going to have an announcing team. And we're going to have people, and they're going to be interviewing in the pits. And when something happens on the track and, go out in the stands and talk. That's one thing I remember from my childhood. Whitey was always walking through the stands, handing out payday bars or whatever it was, some gimmick this week, and just talking to people. And, we're missing that.
Absolutely.
I mean, those are elements of the show that we are missing, and we're not. Hopefully we're not going to be missing them this year.
Yeah, you definitely especially the kids. The kids eat that kind of stuff up. Just, you throw the mic in their face, even if they don't say nothing. It's the interaction with them for sure.
Oh yeah, and half of them they sit there and you go, "What's your name? Where are you from?" That's it. That's all we get. Nothing.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, all the way down to when we raise money for people and stuff, when we go up in the stands and collect it, just them being that close to we're nobodies, but
not to them.
Yeah, not to them.
You may sit there and you think, well, I just race in Franklin County. Well, that's cool, but somebody up there thinks you're their hero. Yep. You know what I mean?
To a kid, it's a totally different story. It's that's that guy that's driving that car, and
100%.
That's one thing that my dad used to do is he used to take his car all the time to schools and stuff.
Yep.
And you wouldn't believe the impact just a race car has sitting there. To us, it's just a race car. It's our hobby. But to them, it's like, oh, wow, they're just blown away about it.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I've been trying to work on kind of in the background is, and this is, not something that we've put out publicly, but, working on an incentive for the racers to do more of that. You know what I mean? Whether that's through free passes or free food or free practice or some sort of incentive to give them. I know, back in the day, you got points for car shows. Well, I don't really want to do that because the racers kind of get jaded about that.
It's Friday, double points.
Right, exactly.
Double points if you show up on Saturday. It's like, whoa.
Exactly. And they get frustrated with that.
Yeah,
you know
absolutely.
what I mean?
I like the free practice time.
Something.
Everybody could use that for sure.
Right, 100%. I mean, half these people need to be practicing more as it is, and I know some of it comes down to budget and all that, but I mean, those are things that you could benefit from.
Oh, 100%, absolutely.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm hoping that that's something that this year that we can really, push. So
it's crazy to see the impact you have on some people. I think I'm just me. I'm driving that. I bought this car that was rusted out for $500 in Withville.
Right.
And then last year, a couple times when we do those pit parties and stuff, all these people, I shouldn't get to you. A couple people come up to me and they're like, want my autograph, and I have not. And it's weird to think that like I have legit fans.
Did you use
that
your
come
crayons?
there and cheer for me? Do what?
Did you use your crayons?
Yeah, I did. Daryl took my Sharpie away. He said I was drawing on stuff too much. So
You probably were.
yeah, Wes likes to draw on my car too. If somebody ever looks under the hood, they'll catch a nice little surprise.
Yeah. Well,
But you're definitely not wrong on that. I mean, we did the Christmas parade, the Rocky Mountain Christmas parade this year, and it was. I think we run out of candy very quickly.
Right.
And just to see their faces, it's really cool to get the kids involved because that's, it brings me back to when I was a kid,
Yeah.
And then it's really special to people to see people that interact with them and that's another thing. We need to get people to interact with them because not a lot of people do it.
Oh, I know. I'm gonna tell you one instance that I found myself. I don't know. I'm not gonna say that I lost respect for this driver, but I just couldn't understand. If he just didn't understand who he was, and that's Philip Morris. And I'm at Hickory Motor Speedway. First time he's ever raced at Hickory Motor Speedway, and he's down there, and they go to have an autograph session on the track, and they're over in the pits. They don't take their car out. He doesn't come out of his trailer. Dude, these people they've heard of you. And they've never seen you before. That's an opportunity to make those fans' day. And I'm not calling him out because he ain't even racing now, and he ain't gonna hear this, and he doesn't care. You know what I mean? But that right there, I'm just like, man, racers. That's one of the things that frustrates me about some racers. You know what I mean? And like last year, we had the Grand National Super Series, and there was some circumstances to it, but they didn't come out to the autograph session. There's people. Half those people were there just to meet Jeremy Mayfield. You know what I mean? That was only. So I got him. I was like, you come over here to the fence and
he
talk
will.
to these people.
Super nice guy.
Oh, and he did. He's
100%.
a great guy. I mean, and that's what it takes. That's why the Smart Tour. That's why we have an autograph session with it, so you can meet Bobby Labonte and Ryan Preece and Ryan Newman and Burt. And Burt Myers is as big a name as those guys.
Yeah,
really,
absolutely.
I mean, he ain't a Cup champion, but I mean, him and. Several of those other guys, Brandon Ward and those guys, I mean, they're household names from the show Madhouse and all that. So I think those things are important.
I bumped into Bobby Labonte in the bathroom in the pit. I don't know why. I'm sure he's got a private bathroom on his hauler. But he was in there, and I bumped into him. I was like, excuse me.
Yeah.
And I went and told everybody. I was like, I just bumped into Bobby Labonte. And y'all should have seen that. It was awesome.
Yeah, them guys are they're different breeds, man. They're old school racers.
Yeah.
And talking about that and you saying that, it brings one name to mind. That's Mike Looney. I mean,
Yep.
Mike is probably one of the backwoods country, doesn't do any social media,
Yep.
and the impact he has on people is just absolutely amazing.
Oh, listen, I got the privilege of basically following them around in 2019 with Race 22. I went to every racetrack basically that they did, and I mean, the fans, I'm going to tell you what, he's got more fans at Langley Speedway than he has anywhere on this earth.
Yep.
I sold his T-shirts for him in 2019 or 2020, whichever. No, 2020. And I'm going to tell you what, more orders came from there than anywhere else.
Yeah.
It's amazing. He only went out there like 3 times.
Well, you say that, and I think back to the Martinsville winning picture, him kneeling and praying.
Yep.
That picture blowed up.
Oh, it resonated with people.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? It did. I mean, it was that was a moment, and it was cool.
And 2017, he actually helped us some.
Yeah.
And it was really cool to have my dad and him together.
Yeah.
It was really, it was special because it was like, wow, how did I get this lucky? And you don't realize how helpful people can be just by words.
Yeah.
And he's definitely helped me a lot. I mean, he sat back and taught us a lot because when I got back into it in 2017, a lot of stuff had changed from the last time my dad was in the late model.
Oh yeah.
So it was a little curveball with us then, but the people like that is what leaves an impact on it. I mean, Jimmy Mullins. I mean, you can't go to a racetrack where somebody don't know Mr. Excitement.
Oh, 100%. I mean, Jimmy Mullins is known a little bit everywhere, and he's won a little bit everywhere, kind of like Mike Looney. I mean, those two are both. I mean, I don't know age-wise where they're at.
They're probably pretty close.
Maybe
a couple of years.
And it's funny. Jimmy hit his stride much younger, whereas Mike, kind of hit his stride in the last, I don't know since 2017ish or something, somewhere around that.
Yeah.
I think Billy Martin credits the wins that he got in 2017 at Franklin County as kind of setting off that pace that they went on.
Yeah, I think that was like a phone call. Hey, you want to drive my car a couple of times? And it led into, really the exclamation point of his career.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, he now has the equipment that he should have had years ago, and if he had Lord only knows what he would have been.
Oh yeah. And and he's almost a made for TV star. I mean, the beard and just his demeanor and the things that. I mean, you want a good one-liner? Oh yeah. Just call Mike Looney. Okay, you'll get about 14 in a conversation. Okay? When I would call him to interview him for stories, I would have to delete stuff because it was too much. There was just stuff there. You're just like, oh man, that's a good one. Well, I can't use it. I done got this 13 others over here. What am I going to do? I mean, he's great for an interview. You can get some good stuff out of him anytime you talk to him.
Absolutely.
And a lot of those older guys are like that. Jimmy Mullins, you don't ever know what's going to come out of his mouth either. So.
Yeah, you're not wrong there.
And from a learning aspect, those are the best people to learn from. Yeah. Kyle's not there yet. Kyle's not the guy that's going to teach you. He's not going to teach you something by standing there talking to you. Probably. Well, I think he's just not there yet.
Well, I think he's also in his prime.
Oh yeah.
So he's not going to do much teaching himself to begin with. He ain't to that point. Now it'll be a day that he's going to be very helpful to somebody because he started with. Nothing, and he's worked his way up, and
super young.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think he's a couple years younger than I am.
Yeah.
And but he's actually, he's worked for everything he has. He hasn't just went out here and not ran the races or not did this or not did that. I mean, he's experienced the not to dos into the do's.
Oh yeah. He could definitely tell somebody what not to do. I mean, he's done a lot of that.
I remember a couple of years ago, I can't remember what year it was now, but he, I think at one time they had 3 cars getting clips on them.
It happens. It happened. Noah had 3 cars he was getting clips on last year, too. He just bought new cars.
It was only 2.
Oh, okay.
One, I hit the wall 7 times. It would not, that old, what year was that thing, that Mercury?
Oh,
the Grand Marquis.
Yeah,
I hit the wall on that thing so many times, hit so many cars, that thing just wouldn't bend at all.
Oh, it's a
that
tank,
thing was it was a tank.
I mean, you don't think your car owner put you in, something that you could get hurt in, right? I mean, your father-in-law might have. But
we are the ones that put the safety gear in that.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
You gave me the car with no seat in it.
I mean, technically, I told you where to go get the car, So.
Yeah, I did. Shout out Brad.
Yeah.
Thanks for the championship car.
Yeah. I don't think he thought that it was going to do all that. That thing ran good every week.
Yeah, it did. It ran all right.
I mean, you're racing against Wesley, so it's hard to, make a comparison there. I mean, he's got the newest car, the most horsepower, everything else. It's going to be hard to beat him on a regular
Other
basis.
than Wes's car, all of us were pretty neck and neck.
Oh, yeah.
Greg Mattingly was, too. And then the second time he showed up last year, all of a sudden that thing was like 4/10 faster. It's amazing how that happens. But
he destroyed it this weekend at Langley.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
It sucks.
Yeah, well. He'll build something faster, and now he's got more experience, so he may not retire like you, but,
I'm not
just
retired.
From a wreck.
This man just told you he took like 17 breaks. He's still racing.
Sometimes they're needed.
Yeah. I mean, that's just kind of how your racing career's flowed there.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about a 20-year span, so I can't complain too much. I've done my fair share of laps.
Noah's on his first break after 2 years. Okay?
yeah, he'll grow into it.
I'm not even on a break.
Well,
I'm working now.
Partial break, I guess.
I'm helping you out.
Yeah, no, you are 100%.
And I'm stroking my own ego a little bit, but
well, of course.
I like the attention.
Yeah. Well, we got to get you this year. This one thing I was thinking about the other day. When you get your main outfit, we got to do some photo shoots. We got to get you your own hero cards so you can sign them. You will have more fans this year than you had ever in your racing
That's
career.
a good idea. I didn't even think of that.
Listen, promotion here, buddy. I'm all about promotion. Okay.
I'm going to start handing them out to people that didn't even ask for them.
Yeah.
I'll be like, I'll sign this for you.
You might have to
Go give one to
them.
Kyle Dudley. Here you go, man. What's your name, buddy?
If you're smart, you'll pre-sign them. That way you can just hand them to them.
Yeah. You want me to just go ahead and print your signature on there, and you can just have a Sharpie and make it look like you signed them?
No, that's forgery.
I mean,
Them things will be worth hell of money one day.
well, going to be million, worth $1 million one day. Yeah, sure,
They will.
sure.
Wait and see. Worth more than yours.
Well, I don't have any, so
There you
nobody.
go.
Listen, I promise
Automatically.
you one thing. I promise you one thing. There is nobody that wants the promoter signature. Okay, nobody out there at all.
Technically, I sold a T-shirt to somebody, to one of the fans, and I signed it for him. He
A
wanted me to
T-shirt?
sign it. One T-shirt, $20. So technically, my autograph is worth $20 right now. That's a pretty good price.
Well, I don't know. The T-shirt was probably worth 15. Okay, so your signature was
it's
worth
all
5.
the autograph value. I've watched enough Pawn Stars.
Well, the logo had to be worth $5.
Well, you know how it goes.
What all you talked about the parade, Jonathan. You talked about that. You do anything else? You guys put the car out anywhere, or you just work keep you from that?
We've done some of the cruise nights and stuff in Rocky Mountain. We've set up at Buddy's Barbecue a couple times.
Yeah.
Work kind of gets in the way of some of it.
Yeah.
But
You mean to be determined barbecue?
yeah, I forgot about the name
What is
change.
it called now? Roanoke.
I
Rocky-
drove by it the other day. It says TBD barbecue
I think the sign
on the
still
side.
says that,
I
but
thought it was Rocky Mountain
I
Smokehouse.
think they
now.
changed it to Rocky Mountain Smokehouse or
Yeah.
something like that. I'm pretty sure.
I don't know. I hate that they had to change their name.
Yeah, the bad thing is they had better barbecue than the people that complained about their name.
I believe that actually. I believe that. That's kind of how that always works.
Yeah.
So,
But no, we tried. I mean, I'm always for doing stuff for especially kids.
Yeah.
But, mainly the thing is, most of my racing career, I haven't really had sponsors behind me. It's been my dad or, stuff like that, my own family. I've been a little more fortunate the last couple of years. But, main thing, just trying to do stuff for your sponsors and get their name out there.
Right.
Am I really making their business any better? I would hope so, but
yeah.
it's just more of the advertisement standpoint of it than if I'm selling something for them or if I'm doing something for them. Just letting people see it.
Yeah. Tell us about your sponsors.
I got Foley's Automotive in Rocky Mount. Nathan Wheat, he's helped me some. Roost Place Restaurant in Rocky Mount. Hall's Custom Race Cars, which is our family. I think Weeds Construction. The main one is Plunkett and Son Excavating.
Yeah.
He's really, really turned my racing around. He's kind of been the footprint in it for several years now, and to be honest, I wouldn't be doing it now if it wasn't for him.
Right. Yeah. It seemed like he's been on your car through the mini stocks, right? Toward the end. Or whatnot?
Yeah. I think this year will mark the 4th year.
Yeah. Well, you're doing something right. I mean,
Yeah.
it's hard to get a sponsor. It's way harder to retain a sponsor.
Yeah, that's for sure. It's always been hard to get them and stuff, and he's probably been the best. Well, not probably. He is the best sponsor I've ever had.
Yeah.
And for him to stay with me, I mean, at this point, it's not. It's more less of a sponsorship. It's actually a friendship, or
Yeah.
he's become part of Jonathan Hall
race team.
Motorsports. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But very thankful to have him on, and we always got room for more for sure. But it's kind of goes with the flow. You just kind of got to act like you got sent sometimes, and when you can, and, just try to work for them. And try to have fun at the same time. That's what we're there to do.
Yeah, I mean, what do you actively try to find sponsors, or what's your, what do you do?
I mean, there's all the way back to my start of my career. I was 13, 14 years old, running around asking people at Budweiser and stuff, "Hey, you want to sponsor me?" Well, of course they can't sponsor a kid like that.
Right.
You know, I used to do the whole door-to-door thing and begging, and I still will ask people and stuff, but it's to the point now with work and stuff, you almost don't have time to do it. I'll run into people like, "Hey, you ever think about sponsoring a race car?" And, you get told no a lot, and
Right.
you learn in racing the no word is pretty happens a lot. But no, you just got to maintain your composure and just try to be the best person you can, and good things come to good people.
I agree with that 100% for sure. All right, Noah, you got any other questions for Jonathan? You've been listening intently here.
Probably not. Y'all about covered everything.
I mean, we did. We spanned your career in like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So I had to drag the rest of it out there.
20 years and 5 minutes of coverage. That's not very good. I might need to fix that.
Well, you hit the highlights real fast.
I mean, I guess I could have went into individual people I drove for.
Yeah.
I do. Going back to the sponsors, I want to give a shout out to Thomas Parmley too. He helps me a lot, and
you've drove a few races for him, right?
Yeah, we went to Dillon this year. We had a lot of fun there. We ended up getting wrecked in practice and set us back, but we probably had a top 10 car all week, which if people don't know, that's a pretty big race to start the year off.
Oh yeah.
And I've went down with him for the last 5 or 6 years, and it's somewhere I've really wanted to race for a long time. And he called me. He was like, "Hey, would you be interested in driving my car at Dillon?" And I was blown away because that car means a lot to him, and to get that opportunity was really cool. And actually, I got the phone call to go run Freedom Factory. Mm-hmm. And I was coaching basketball, coaching my son's basketball team, so I couldn't go. And he went and actually done really good. So
yeah, he did.
I don't know what this year is going to hold with us. We help each other a lot.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'll be in something of his eventually, playing around. I can't go all the way away from any stock. I still enjoy it.
Yeah, you the running that race down at Dillon. Yeah, that was your first time, I assume, there racing at that track. What'd you think of it?
Oh, it's a really cool place. I mean, it reminded me some of Franklin County with the character that it had, and
yeah,
it's pretty slick. It's cold, slick, and it was a really interesting racetrack. I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, good. I love Dillon. Ron Barfield owns the track down there. Former Craftsman Truck Series driver.
Nice guy.
Super nice guy. Him and his whole family. They're really good. Really family oriented racetrack there. Does a great job. We talk a little bit about other racetracks here. What outside of Franklin County? I mean, I know that's your home track. You've been to Motor Mile. You've been, you said Orange County. I think you've been to Ace. What's your favorite racetrack outside of Franklin County?
Oh, outside of Franklin, I like Motor Mile. Motor Mile was fun to drive.
What made it fun to drive? It looked, and I'll just tell you from a fan experience, I guess it looks like it'd be just ride around.
Well, coming from Franklin, I will say the first time I run there, a guy told me one time that if you carry a plate of food, you could eat it going down the straightaway. And to some point, that is true.
Yeah.
But I think what's fun about there is you're able to use the apron. You're able to race pretty aggressively, 2 and 3 wide, very hard. Where Franklin County, you're battling for room.
Oh yeah, at all times.
And as far as Franklin, to run the top side, you gotta be kind of ballsy.
Yeah.
But Motor Mile, there's plenty of room to do it. So I mean, that aspect of it was fun, but I think if I had to compare anything to Franklin as far as how fun and how rough, it would definitely be Orange County.
Yeah.
Orange County, we went down there in 2017, and we showed up with the car just like we were in Franklin.
Yeah.
And I was running the bottom of the racetrack, thought I was flying. And a guy comes up and hands me a gear and says if I move up 2 grooves, I would pick up 2 seconds. And it just blew me away. I looked at him like he was crazy. And I moved up, and I realized we brought the wrong race car. But, it's really rough. And, I mean, it was a blast to drive for sure.
People only think Franklin County's rough. You get to a place like Orange County, I mean, you can literally put your foot in the cracks in the track.
And I was told before I went, don't put your head on the headrest.
Yeah.
and they mean what they say, it will rattle your teeth out.
Beat you up a little bit?
Oh, it will rattle your teeth out.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think if I had to say, probably my closest favorite, probably Dylan.
Yeah.
It was really, it's really wild. I mean, it's hard to describe it. I mean, you could run all the way down to the inside wall, and
Yeah.
I was driving Thomas's car, and I think he's like 6'5", 6'6". I'm 5'10", so
Right.
I think I was sitting on a cushion. But so I couldn't see the best because when I turned the steering wheel, my hand was in the way, so I was missing the wall by inches and never knew it. But I think that's probably my second favorite. Callaway will always be my favorite. It's where I cut my teeth at, so
Right.
it would have to be a pretty special racetrack to top that one.
Yeah, for sure. Noah, you hadn't raced anywhere else, have you?
I have not.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
I was supposed to go to that Natural Bridge when they did
the Stock 4
the
race
Stock
last year.
4. I got my car totaled the week before, so that kind of nipped that in the bud.
Yeah. Well,
I've been wanting to go down to Motor Mile just to see what it's like. Not even a race, just practice, whatever.
Yeah.
The way Chris Amos told me, he said at Franklin County, at least in the four-cylinders, it feels like you're going 80 down the back road. And they said at Motor Mile, it feels like you're going 80 down 81.
you know what?
That's pretty
a
good.
Good explanation.
It
right
really
there
is.
of what it looks like too.
Yeah, pretty. I mean, that's pretty accurate.
I've watched videos of there's some guy that posts in-car camera videos that's at Motor Mile, and it really does look not that fast.
There's one in the 95 car at Dillon.
Yeah.
If you go look at that guy, he's got my car from Dillon.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I seen it.
I think the only difference as far as Motor Mile being smooth, but it's so tedious.
Yeah.
Coming up off a corner, you're climbing a hill, so every mistake kills you there.
Yeah.
So I think that's the tricky part about Motor Mile.
Yeah. I think one of the big differences between Motor Mile and Franklin County, you can make a mistake at Franklin County and make up for it. If you make a mistake at Motor Mile, you're probably not going to make up.
Yeah,
for
you
it.
got that long straightaway. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't really a racetrack. I love any racetrack. It's in my blood. So you take me anywhere in a race, I go. We can race wheelchairs if we want to. I don't,
And we may have one of those this year. But Noah in a wheelchair, and
I'm gonna get Timmy's little scooter. I'm gonna cheat.
Yeah, well, I mean, you cheated all year last year, so I don't know why you wouldn't cheat this year.
I did not.
I mean, I'm just saying, lower control arm, something. But
I got away with that for like 5 races. And then you bring some tech man in I've never seen before, and next thing you know, it's illegal.
yeah, Barry Wilson knew what he was looking at. He knew.
I knew we were in trouble. He checked the first car. Took about 5 minutes. I was like, all right, cool. He looked at our car, looked over everything. Didn't take long, and then he got up under that right front, and he sat under there for about 10 minutes. And I was like, yeah, we're screwed.
That's the way that goes.
And then he was like, all right, you guys are good. And I was like, okay, sweet. And then, on Tuesday, rule update. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, I looked at him after that race, and I said, what'd you think? He said, well, you've got them pretty well in line. He said, there's some things that, are you allowing this? And I said, yeah, actually, I did allow this. He said, well, that's dumb. So he said, that's something you probably need to fix.
I just want to say one other driver did it that same night and ran the exact same speed.
Yeah.
Honestly, I was talking to my brother about it earlier. I think that car was just like a unicorn.
Yeah.
Like it was just super fast because now I'm in this new car. Last time I drove it anyway, it was turning 2 times ago. I was driving like Ricky Bobby the last time.
Right.
But it was running like 17/8, which is like 0.2 off the pace at least. So I don't know what it was. I don't think it was all control arm. I think I just had a unicorn car.
Yeah, maybe. Jonathan, before we let you go and before we get off of here, is there any race, I'll say at Franklin County first, but otherwise, I mean, obviously Martinsville would be, one of those races. But is there a race at Franklin County that, you haven't won that you'd like to win? Is there some memorial race that, would mean something to you? Is there something you want to accomplish that you haven't accomplished there?
As far as Franklin, I'd say probably the Buster Care Memorial or the Ricky Memorial. I come really, really close to it mini stock. Brittany outrunning me the first year we ran in that.
Yep.
Which fitting, so it was a good fit for her to win it.
It was.
but knowing Ricky, and that's another one I grew up around the racetrack, and Buster was very good friends with my dad.
Oh, yeah.
And actually, the first year y'all had that, I was in the stands on crutches. So I missed that one. That one would be cool, too. But well, that's probably about it at Franklin. I won a lot of races at Franklin, so it's hard for me to pinpoint.
Yeah. Outside of Franklin County, what would tickle your fancy? What would you like to go do?
I'm not going to say win, but obviously I'd like to win it. But I still want to make my show at Martinsville.
Yeah.
It's, I've watched my dad try it. My dad actually had the field made and got caught up in a wreck. But, it's the high caliber race. I mean, I've been going to it 10, 15 years straight. So it's I would like to make an appearance and just to say I was there. That would be cool. But it'd have to be a lot that has to align for that to happen.
Yeah. I mean, that's a race. I mean, you got to have the best of the best equipment. You got to have the best of the best car, motor, everything, and then you got to get really lucky.
Yeah, luck's. Yeah, I don't really have luck, but I guess I had luck once this year. I take it, but I think that one's probably the first thing that comes in mind. That would really be. I mean, I'd love to run some car store stuff, but we're more on a limited scale than we are ever thinking about going to late. I don't know if I'll ever go full blown late model, but they
take a lot of sponsorship to do that.
Yeah, or a ride. I'd take that. I'd rather go that route first. But I mean, to run a race with the car store, or to go to Martinsville would probably be some of the biggest checks I would like to do. But if it doesn't happen, I feel pretty accomplished with where I'm at in my career, and I could walk away from it and feel like I've made an imprint and people to come.
Before we let you go, is anything that we missed, anything that we didn't ask you about that you thought we would ask you about?
Sing us a song.
Yeah, nice try.
It's worth a try.
But no, I mean, I don't reckon. I'll probably think of something as soon as I walk out the door. But
every time I'm done with one of these, I go, man, I should ask him about that.
Do you have anything else?
I'm out. Once you went through the 5 minutes of your career, I was like, well, I got about 10 more questions here, and then I'm out.
Yeah, it ain't much to my career. It's been long, but
it's been pretty good. I mean, you got 3 championships, even though I said you only had 1. That's pretty good accomplishment. I mean, you're talking about your U car wins. I mean, that's a lot of victories to have got over the years.
Yeah, I've been fortunate enough to win a lot in every division I've ever raced.
Yeah.
So I can't complain with that. I've raced. I think the only thing I hadn't won in, I think I started a street stock one time for a guy. He jump in it, and I had no idea what I was doing then, but.
You gonna get in a Legends car next?
I want to get in a Legends car. I know
some people.
I have several buddies that have them, and I talk junk to them, tell them they're Matchbox cars, and but I actually talking to people that has drove them. They say that driving and feel wise, they feel a lot like a late model because they're less power, but they have no weight.
Yeah.
But I'd like to do that. I'd like to find somebody to be able to get in one time to see how I could stack up with them because I know my way around Franklin pretty good. So
they say they're like the hardest cars to drive, because of their wheelbase and all.
Yeah. I mean, they're really, really torquey and don't weigh nothing. So you kind of drive it with the throttle. But I'm definitely kicking that one around. I'm trying to find something to get in. So if any Legend guys out there, we need to talk. I definitely want to, I got some buddies that I race them, and, they look like a ball. And
they do look fun.
It's a
whole different type of race.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've never been in one, but it's definitely probably the class that I'm most excited about at Franklin.
Yeah.
I'm kind of glad to see them come there because the races that has had, good ones and show up, it's been a really good race.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And, actually, I paid attention to them at Dillon, but I think they had almost 30 of them.
Yeah.
And they actually race like it's not a wreck fest.
Well, you get one or the other with the Legends.
Yes,
you
yes,
either
100%,
get a complete and total crap show,
Yeah.
or you get a fantastic race.
But it's okay. Fans like that too. But,
100%.
I think as far as the competition level, they're such on a strict rule book.
Yeah.
And I think that's what racing needs. We need that strict rule book because in so many of our classes, and over the years, I think that's what's hurt late models is.
Late models and mini
Everywhere you go, it's a different rule book.
Yeah.
And it's hard. It's different if I just got to buy a different tire.
Yeah.
But if I got to worry about moving this 100 pounds or this 50 pounds or this carburetor with this screw and this lug nut, it makes it difficult. And that's what's cool about them is they're so strict on their rules. And I think, though my experience with racing and stuff, I think it's a really good entry level class. Not saying it's just an entry level, but I think once you buy the package and once you get the car and once you get the equipment you need, I think it's pretty reasonable to run.
Well, it's probably the cheapest division to run once you have everything.
Right, and the tires they're on, I mean, for the weight and the torque they have, they just don't burn them up. I mean, I was amazed, some of my buddies that race them, they run a 20, 30 lap race, and I put my hand on the tire and they're ice cold.
Right.
And that's different to me, but I think that class is going to do really well this year, and I hope so.
Yeah, you got some new blood in there, and got some interesting people that have bought some cars this winter. It's going to be good.
Yeah, it's come around, and you got some people coming out of retirement getting in them. I mean,
yeah,
Nathan's got a wild side to him, but Nathan has wheeled some, so
yeah,
and they show speed, and
that ain't a class you can be too wild in, though. And I think that's the one thing that's kind of hurt him last year.
Yeah. They need to settle down a little bit for that class, but I think it's very promising for sure. And who knows? Maybe we might see a 25 Legend car eventually. I don't know.
And you never know. I mean, you've basically now you've won a championship in every class we have now, except for Legends.
Yeah, I guess I haven't won one in stock 4, so we might have to.
Oh, yes. Well, no, U-car, same thing.
Well, yeah,
same
I guess
thing.
we can go that route.
What you ran as a U-car back in the day is what we have as stock 4 today.
Yeah, it's pretty close, for sure, absolutely. It's more of the lines of it, for sure. Oh. But, yeah, I mean, I guess now the only thing that's racing is Legends that I haven't raced there, so.
Right.
That's
maybe you can make that happen.
I guess that I might have to see if I can try to run one there.
I mean, Kyle Klingenpill goes on vacation about 3 times a month. So, I mean, you can probably get in his car. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I gotta.
He's the only dude I know that goes on vacation that much.
Yeah, I think he
must have a good job.
I think he's got me beat.
I mean, maybe.
He's working on that for sure.
For sure. Every time I talk to him last year, I say, "You coming this weekend?" "Nah, I'm going to Myrtle Beach."
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, the beach is a nice place.
I mean,
sure.
I get it. I get the lure of the beach.
Too bad the racetrack isn't there anymore. It might be even better, but.
Yeah, well, you're not too far from Florence. And Dillon, so.
But no, I don't know. It's something I'd like to do. It'd be pretty cool, but I think it's going to do really well.
Yeah, I do too, for sure. No, before we get out of here, anything we hadn't talked about that you thought we should, or anything pop in your mind over the course of this conversation?
Not anything in particular. Tell everybody, come on out next week.
Yeah. Yeah, I think everybody's geared up and ready to go. I've had fans messaging me about different things, and I think everybody's ready to see a race, and kind of having put off the race that we were going to have on the 2nd and put it back to the 30th, kind of got everybody like, hey, man, we need to go racing. So hopefully that forecast for next week kind of changes up, because it ain't going to be good for getting anything done, but hopefully it'll change up, and we'll see. So, all right, guys, I guess that'll do it for us. Appreciate you coming on tonight, Jonathan, and appreciate Noah showing up again. He wasn't sure if he'd show up 2 weeks in a row.
I wasn't even invited. I just showed up.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, man, no problem. All right, guys, that'll do it for tonight. We'll talk to you next week from Logan's Roadhouse. I guess Tuesday should be Facebook Live then, if I get my ducks in a row, and we'll go from there. Until then, check us out on fcspeedway.com and on our Facebook and TikTok and Twitter, X, whatever it's called, and we'll talk to you then.